Aviation is in trouble. It has to borrow a sort of Yiddish word from the time of year. We're in the middle of Passover, Pesach. It's got gehackte Tsuris, many problems. Not the glamorous globe trotting kind of problems that you might have expected from a globe trotting, thrilled 20th century imagination, but the mundane, bureaucratic, gridlocked variety. Our airport can't expand. Our skies are overcrowded, and the airlines are either suing governments or slashing services. Welcome to the age of aviation failure. Not for lack of demand, but for lack of capacity and coordination. And you could begin in the Netherlands, in Schiphol Airport. Once a gleaming emblem of European efficiency, it's become a courtroom regular. For the second time in 2 years, the Dutch government and virtually every major airline have returned to court to argue over a proposed flight caps. Originally capped at 500,000 flights a year, the government wishes to reduce that to 440,000 to address local noise pollution. And after repeated backtracking, it now proposes a modest cut of 478,000, still enough to raise fury among airlines. KLM claims this would cost them 4,600 flights per year and 500,000 passengers, and that's not just an operational annoyance, it's a blow to revenue, jobs and connectivity. The Dutch state insists it's about public interest, environmental noise and residents' well-being. The airlines cry foul, arguing that the EU's balanced approach rules haven't been properly followed. And Brussels, ever the bystander, it shrugs and says it lacks the power to intervene. This is a tragicomic standoff that speaks to a larger issue. Europe has become too mobile for its infrastructure to cope, yet too entangled in competing regulations to respond. And the airport in the Netherlands is hardly alone. Hop over to Spain, where Ryanair is scaling back its operations by nearly 800,000 seats this summer. That's an 18% cut. The reason? A row with Spain's airport operator, ENA, over excessive fees at regional airports. The fees, Ryanair insists, are driving away budget carriers and rendering smaller airports commercially impossible to use, unviable. In short, Ryanair's CEO, Eddie Wilson, is voting with his wings, cutting services at Kraos and Santiago, and concentrating capacity in big hubs like Madrid, Malaga and Alicante. Spain's smaller airports, many built with European structural funds to spread economic opportunity, particularly appealing to airlines like Ryanair, now risk becoming architectural mausoleums. And Wilson has a point. AENA's charges may be among the lowest in Europe, but incentives matter, especially for budget airlines with razor-thin margins. Without flexibility, the regional model collapses. And you're going to end up with more of these absurdities when you book a flight. I booked a flight the other day, and you think, oh yeah, that's what I'm paying. That's reasonable. And then when you actually go to register your ticket or get your seat, you find further charges just hidden and impossible to avoid. So actually your seat doesn't cost that, it costs this. And then you're sitting there and suddenly this trolley comes backwards and forwards selling you stuff pretty well all the way through the flight. You can't fall asleep, you can't read a book, you've got noise going on all the time, and you don't have the funds or particularly the desire to buy the sort of rubbish which is on offer. What we're seeing is a contraction of mobility, not its expansion. And after decades of liberalisation, open skies, mass travel, air transport is bottlenecked. By law, noise complaints, by fees, by political paralysis, by bureaucracy. Terminal 3 at Heathrow remains a flashpoint in the UK, not because we lack a plan, but because we lack the courage to build it. And even when we've agreed to build it, we dither and delay and delay and delither to the point where nothing's going to happen for years. And yet the demand for mobility has never been higher. Post-pandemic revenge travel, globalised workforces, family diaspora networks mean the public wants more routes, more frequency, more destinations, but the infrastructure is static. Or, in the case of the Netherlands, shrinking. The crisis is structural, not seasonal. We've reached a point where airlines are suing governments instead of working with them. Airlines can't expand because either because of cost, environmental protest or bureaucratic inertia. And Europe's Regulatory frameworks, however well-intentioned, cannot resolve the tension between growth and green. And to cap it off, climate policy is being weaponised in a disjointed way. Environmental objectives are necessary, but the piecemeal ad hoc restrictions, like those proposed in the Netherlands, lack strategy. They risk pushing aviation into austerity mode, not transition. And the irony is bitter, isn't it? Bitter. Ooh, it's bitter. As Europe pursues sustainability at that time in the morning, it's bitter. Oh, bitter out, bitter out. But better out than in. Ooh, yes, madam. As Europe pursues sustainability, it may instead produce exclusion, where only the large hubs thrive, regional airports die, and working class access to flight is curtailed. So what should be done? First, we need to rethink mobility as a system, not just a set of rules. That means integrating air, rail, bus travel in a way that truly reduces emissions without throttling access. Second, governments and airport operators must embrace tiered pricing and dynamic incentives to support regional growth. One size doesn't fit all. Third, Brussels must decide whether it wants to be a referee or merely a spectator in airline aviation disputes. A common market needs a common air policy, not 27 legal battles over decibel levels. Finally, we must stop treating capacity expansion as taboo. Terminal 3, Terminal 4, second runways, they must be debated openly, not buried under a NIMBY avalanche. The future of aviation cannot be decided in courtrooms, nor sabotaged by indecision, nor put off indefinitely. If Europe is to remain connected, competitive and coherent, then its aviation strategy must fly at the same altitude as its aspirations.